Well, Arsenal were handed a major blow during the international break, with Arteta revealing that centre-back Gabriel is out for weeks. However, he couldn't be more specific with the timeline.
We need to have another scan, I think it's next Wednesday, and we'll have the timeline probably much more clear than we have at the moment. Yeah, it's clearly a blow because it's our leader in our backline, and to me, obviously, it's never a positive thing. The good thing, as you mentioned, is that we have very good options, and people have to stand up now and do the job.
Well, Arsenal have plenty of other injury concerns beyond Gabriel. They could be without as many as 8 senior players for the visit of Tottenham on Sunday. However, Arteta did suggest that some of these names could be close to returning.
Yeah, we put a lot of energy during the international break with all the medical staff as well to try to bring them as quick as possible. So tomorrow we have another training session, see how some of them are feeling, whether it's a bit too close to bring them in this game or we feel that they can have a contribution in the game. So tomorrow we'll have more clarity.
So there is a possibility some of them could be in the squad?
Yeah, well, I'm hopeful that we can make another step tomorrow, but certainly I cannot tell you.
And you can tell us the names of those?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
I can, but I'm not going to do it.
Well, the Arsenal manager will be looking to extend his excellent record over their bitter rivals, having won 5 of his last 6 meetings with Spurs. He's keen to ensure that North London stays red this weekend.
It's just different. I mean, it's a big city, but it's a big rivalry. It's a part of London that we want to conquer. They want to do the same. There's been a lot of shifts as well over the years as well, who's been more dominant. And it's just beautiful, especially when we play at home in front of our people. We know what it means to them and the energy that they're going to bring, the energy that the team is going to bring in every single action. And it's just a privilege to play those kind of games. So we cannot wait to get to Sunday.
It's fierce, it's emotional. The fans stand for the entire 90 minutes. They sing, they are loud. The atmosphere is unlike anything. Tell us from a player's point of view, though, what it's like playing in this game.
It's a different sort of feeling. Throughout the week, it's a massive game. Not just for the players, for the club, the fans, and everyone involved. You're reminded when you go out in the streets. It's the North London derby. We've got to win. That sort of importance. But saying that, I think for players, and even though it sounds boring, you always try and play the game, not the occasion, if that makes sense, because you don't want to get caught up in it too much. You don't want your performance to change in any way. You want to try and sort of prepare like it's a normal game or any other game. But there's just a different feel. We saw some of the footage there, some of the tackles and the importance and even the change before, even in the warm-up, for the captain and the senior players to remind, can you win the first tackle? They have to free us for anything else. You have to be hard to play against. It's different.
You've played in some sides with Freddie Canute, Michael Carrick, Gareth Bale, some real match winners, Luka Modric in the side. Do you look at this Tottenham side and see potential match winners out beyond the striker going into this game?
I think there's match winners, but I think these players have to produce now. Xavi Simons, he's come in with a big reputation, even though he's still young. But over the years, he's been talked about a lot. I feel like he can do a lot more. You talk about numbers now. When you're a forward player, whether that's a number 10, number 9, wingers, you're forward players. You're judged on goals and assists. It's as simple as that. That's why you're in the team. Kulusevski, for me, that's a big miss. He's the one, really. Maddison, another injury. Kudos, massive signing. Is someone who I believe can still go to the next level in terms of goals and assists.
Forgive me.
Because I think it's the first time they're really needing, except for the Liverpool game, which, is a game with the reigning champions and you expect that there would be a little bit of trouble. You're ready for it to go either way. The Sunderland game, as you said, was a little bit different. And as you mentioned, Jermaine, they were confident going there. Now they have to recover because it's the first time that they've conceded twice in the season. It's the first time since, September that they'd conceded a goal, which they'd celebrated and were lauded for that run of clean sheets at an end. Now we're wondering how they're going to respond. And we're kind of waiting. And it's the first time this season that they're needing to do that.
But I don't think they'll panic. I think because what they've showed is they're a team that, don't concede a lot. You know, when you've got defenders celebrating blocks, you know, that's a good sign. So I don't think they'll panic.
But on the flip side, if you're in the Spurs dressing room, right, before this game, are you saying to everyone, we saw that Sunderland could do it, we can do this, guys?
Of course, yeah. I think, but even before the Sunderland game, I still. But even when you play against teams that, you know, that keeps clean sheets, but you still have to go there and believe that you're going to score.
Is that what you do?
I think so, but I just think this game's different. Like I said before, even though Tottenham, they've been good on the road and they've not created too many chances, but this game could be completely different because in a game like this, you should get the best version of every player.
So where are the goals going to come from for Arsenal then? Who are going to be the match winners? Because, you know, Victor Gyökeres, with his injury issue, could be missing. Mikel Merino could be asked to play up top once again. Who do you think will be scoring the goals?
I think Saka's the one.
Yeah,
isn't he? I think Saka's the one. If it was me, we'd be saying, you know, if we can keep this guy quiet, then we've got a chance. Because he's a match winner. Of course, they've got other players, of course, but for me, I think he's the one really that can he can create, he can score, he can do everything. So for me, he's definitely the one.
Yeah, that's the injury list for Arsenal. I think Ricardo Calafiori on international duty, the same for Gabriel. Gabriel Jesus, I think, is back in training, but probably too soon for him.
I see, interesting that you look at this list and there is some serious quality in this list, and yet the side and the squad that will come out for this game is still very, very strong. It's a real vindication of the transfer policy of Andrea Berta and obviously the work that Arteta's done in the transfer window. They're not worrying about this list too much, even though there is some serious quality in this list. And I agree with Jermaine. I think it will be Saka. You know what he's going to do, but how hard it is to stop him. I think on the other side, Eze will relish the opportunity to start games and really test the fullback with his creativity. Porro won't be able to get forward anywhere near as much as he likes to because Eze will pin him in. And then in the midfield, you know, who is it who's going to step up? Merino likely, I think, to start. So they'll make sure they've got somebody on him. So it might well be a chess game where lots of different players cancel each other out, or will test the other. How much can you concentrate? Will there be that? I
think it's a massive game for Eze.
So there was a twist in the title race last time out as leaders Arsenal finally dropped points and finally conceded a couple of goals. There's been bad news as well during the international break with Gabriel picking up a thigh injury, ruling him out of a huge run of games which starts with Sunday's North London derby.
Yeah, Gabi unfortunately picked up an injury with the Brazilian national team and he's going to be out for weeks.
Weeks? Is that... Can you give us any more clarity?
No, we need to have another scan, I think it's next Wednesday, and we'll have the timeline probably much more clear than we have at the moment.
It's clearly a blow, but have you ever felt more comfortable about the players that you can actually bring in and the options that you have when you have injuries like this?
Yeah, it's clearly a blow because it's our leader in our backline, and to me, obviously, it's never a positive thing. The good thing, as you mentioned, is that we have very good options, and people have to stand up now and do the job.
Well, Gabriel is missing at a time when Arsenal have historically struggled in the Premier League. They average 1.6 points a game in November. That's their worst record of any month of the year. And things only improved slightly in December and January. So Arsenal will be very keen to get Gabriel back. It's a tough view in that. Yeah, as an Arsenal fan, that's hard looking at that, especially that run of games that we've got coming up in November. But Tim, how big of a blow is it, Arsenal losing Gabriel at this point?
It's massive. If you would have asked Thomas Frank or any Tottenham fan which player they'd like to take out of the Arsenal lineup at this present moment in time, it would be Gabriel. So they got their wish. I'm not saying that it's going to make it. It's going to make certainly going to make the game easier for them, but. Yeah. He's the most important player for Arsenal at the moment. I believe that from the beginning of the season to where we are at the moment.
Wow, you think he's that influential? I'm really intrigued by that. You think that out of all the players...
I really do, in both boxes. In both boxes. You know how dominant they are at set pieces. The delivery is absolutely paramount importance, which is fantastic. But Gabriel attacks the ball for his life. Yeah. You know, there's no one who can stand in his way. And they're going to miss him in both boxes. If they can't break down Tottenham are not going to come out and play against Arsenal. They're going to sit back. They're going to need to find a way if it's not going to be from set pieces. But, you know, they've got options now. They've got a strong squad. They bought well, more balance to the squad. So they're going to have to find a solution. You know, it's not easy to win Premier Leagues.